Narayanam namaskrityam naram cheva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayatu dhirayet shanvatam swakatha krishna punya shavana kirtanam hidyanti stig abhadrani vidnoti suvitsatam nashtaprayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki Mukham Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yatkripatamaham Vande Shri Gurun Dinatarinam Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin iti namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. Welcome devotees to the morning Srimad Bhagavatam class. Today we are reading from Canto 3, chapter number 14, verse number 32. Athopas prasyashalilam prananyamyavagagyataha dhyaya japa virajam brahma jyotihi sanatana. Word to word. Atha, thereafter. Upasprisha, touching or taking bath in water. Shalilam, water. Prananan ayama yayama, practicing trance. Vakyata, controlling speech. Dhyayan, meditating. Jajapa, chanted within the mouth. Virajam, pure. Brahma, Gayatri hymns. Jyotihi, effulgence. Sanatanam, eternal. Translation. Thereafter, the Brahmana took his bath in the water and controlled his speech by practicing trance, meditating on the eternal effulgence and chanting the holy Gayatri hymns within his mouth. Purport by Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. As one has to take bath after using the toilet, so one has to wash himself with water after sexual intercourse, especially when at a forbidden time. Kashyapa Muni meditated on the impersonal Brahmajyoti by chanting the Gayatri mantra within his mouth. When a Vedic mantra is chanted within the mouth so that only the chanter can hear, the chanting is called japa. But when such mantras are chanted loudly, it is called kirtan. The Vedic hymn Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare can be chanted both softly to oneself or loudly. Therefore, it is called the Maha Mantra or the great hymn. Kashyapa Muni appears to be an impersonalist. Comparing his character with that of Thakur Haridas, as referred to above, it is clear that the personalist is stronger in sense control than the impersonalist. This is explained in Bhagavad Gita as Param Drishtava Nivartante. That is, one ceases to accept lower grade things when one is situated in a superior condition. One is supposed to be purified after taking bath and chanting Gayatri, but the Maha Mantra is so powerful that one can chant loudly or softly in any condition, and he is protected from all the evils of material existence. Om Agyantimirandasya Gyananjanjalakaya Chakshurummilitamena Tasmai Shri Guru. So this verse is very, very nice verse, and it glorifies the holy names, the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, and we hear how Kashyapa Muni, after having union with Diti, he's now purifying himself by chanting the Gayatri Mantra, by taking bath and chanting Gayatri Mantra within his mouth. And these Vedic mantras, they are supposed to be chanted within one's mouth. They cannot be chanted loudly. But Hare Krishna Maha Mantra can be chanted loudly as well, can be chanted to oneself for one's own benefit, and can be chanted loudly for everyone else's benefit. That's why it's called Maha Mantra. It's a great mantra. And there's a story of Haridas Thakur. So Haridas Thakur was traveling and he was visiting a village. And in that village, they had a spiritual discussion. All the Brahmanas were having discussion. And there was one puffed up Brahmana. He asked Haridas Thakur, when he would chant loudly, the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. So that Brahmana asked Haridas Thakur, why do you chant this mantra so loudly? You should chant the Vedic mantras within your mouth. You're not supposed to chant it loudly. And then Haridas Thakur said, I chant it loudly for not just for my own benefit, I chant it loudly for the benefit of everyone, for the beast, for the birds, for the insects, for the trees, for the plants, so that they can also hear this Harinam, they can also hear the chanting, and they also become delivered. Because in this present body, they cannot chant holy names. They don't know. They cannot. So for their benefit, I chant for myself and for them also. So therefore, the benefit is 100 times greater. That's what he said. And in purport also, we read that how Kashyapa Muni, he knew that this union with Diti is not appropriate. It's going to attract the progeny, which is not going to be a suitable progeny. Even then, he could not control himself. He was obliged to fulfill the desires of his wife. But we see, on the other hand, we see the example of Thakur Haridas. How Haridas Thakur, he's a pure devotee of the Lord, and how much of a self-control he has. And Kashyapa Muni, he was a born Brahmana, and Haridas Thakur, he was born in a family of Muslim family. And so we see the contrasting personalities between Kashyapa Muni and Haridas Thakur. And Kashyapa Muni, he was an impersonalist. And Haridas Thakur, he was a devotee, he was a personalist. And Prabhupada writes that personalists are stronger in sense control than impersonalists. Why? Because they see that the lower grade things, they easily leave. Then the impersonalists, they cannot. They can fall down any time, like we see in the case of Kashyapa Muni. So I was thinking to discuss the story of Haridas Thakur and the prostitute. That one time Haridas Thakur, he was in the village, and he made a small cottage in the village, and he planted a tulsi leaf in his garden, and he would sit in front of tulsi leaf all day, all night, and chant 300,000 names every day. And then the ruler of the district was Ramchandra Khan. He didn't like Haridas Thakur because Haridas Thakur was getting a lot of fame, like he was becoming famous and popular. Everybody was reaching out to him and everybody was appreciating him. And Ramchandra Khan, who was the ruler, he became envious of Haridas Thakur. So he decided to to insult Haridas Thakur or bring his fame down. So what he did, he called all the prostitutes of his sit down, and then he asked, if any one of you can spoil the reputation of Haridas Thakur, I will give you a good price, good reward. So one of the prostitutes, she was very beautiful. She said, I will do this job in 3 days. Give me 3 days. I will have union with Haridas Thakur, and then I can bring him to you. So he said, yeah, I will send my constable, my police, and then as soon as you have union with him, he will catch Haridas Thakur and he will bring him here. And then she said, okay, wait for 1 day. Let me make connection with him, and then you can send your police next day. So she goes to Haridas Thakur, and then she sits, she offers obeisances to Tulsi, she offers obeisances to Haridas Thakur, and then she sits, and then she says that I have a desire to have a union with you. So Haridas Thakur says, yes, I will definitely fulfill your desire, but I have taken this vow of chanting 10 million names this month, and this month is almost going to get over. So if you don't mind, then if you just be a little bit more patient, then I will finish my chanting and then I will satisfy your desires. And then she says, okay. And then she sat through the night. Haridas Thakur was chanting through the night. And then the morning came. She was upset. And then she went back to Ramchandra Khan and she reports him what had happened. And then she goes next night, the following night again. And then Haridas Thakur says, I apologize. I did not fulfill your desires, but tonight I will fulfill your desires. Just wait. I have a few more chanting left. Then I will be free and I will fulfill your desire in full freedom. And then like that, Haridas Thakur was trying to simply trick her. He already knew what was the purpose of the prostitute. But he said, you sit down and you listen to the holy names. And then the second day, she also started chanting Hari, 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 Hari. And then third night, then she went back to Ramachandra Khan and then comes again. And the third night she comes and then she tells that today you have to fulfill my desire. And then Thakur Haridas said, yes, today I will fulfill your desire. I think I should be done today. Then I will satisfy all your desires. And then by the time it was morning, she was so purified by chanting, by listening to the chanting of Haridas Thakur. And then she started crying. She said, she fell at his lotus feet, and then she confessed that Ramchandra Khan had sent her to pollute him. And because then she says that since I've taken this profession of being a prostitute, I have committed so many sins in my life. Now, how can I'm such a fallen soul. How can I be delivered? Please be merciful unto me. She begs to Haridas Thakur. And then Haridas Thakur tells that I knew all the conspiracy of Ramachandra Khan. I would have left the town, but just to deliver you, I stayed back. And then he tells the prostitute, the prostitute said, you are my spiritual master. Please guide me. Please help me. And then he tells, so whatever belongings you have in your house, you donate everything. You distribute it to the Brahmanas. And then you come here in this cottage. You stay here. You chant and worship Tulsi and chant day and night. And then after instructing the prostitute, Haridas Thakur left the cottage chanting Hare Krishna. And then soon after, the prostitute comes in the cottage, and then she started chanting 300 names of the Krishna, and then she became such an advanced devotee. And devotees would from outside would come and great devotees would come and see her and take blessings from her. She became such wonderful devotee by following the footsteps of Haridas Thakur, and then everybody could appreciate the influence of Haridas Thakur, and they would come and offer obeisances to the prostitute. So we see the influence of the effects of the association of a pure devotee, and also the effects of holy names. How holy names can change a fallen person into an elevated great Vaishnava, great devotee. And so these holy names, they are Nam Chintamani Krishna Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha. So these holy names, they are Chintamani. They are compared to the greatest treasure. And practically Lord Chaitanya, he has showed us by his example that chanting these holy names is the Yuga Dharma, is the Dharma of Kali Yuga. There's no other way in this Kali Yuga for our deliverance other than chanting, and is the essence of all the religion. And there is one pastime of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu when he was visiting Allahabad. And in Allahabad, he was chanting in the streets and chanting and dancing, doing Nagar Sankirtan. And there happened to be a impersonalist. His name was Prakashananda Saraswati. So he would criticize Lord Chaitanya for what he was doing, chanting and dancing in the street. He would say this is an immature state of Lord Chaitanya. Then he would criticize Lord Chaitanya, and then the devotees, they won't like the criticism of Lord Chaitanya. And then one devotee, he thought, okay, let me arrange a meeting between Prakashananda Saraswati and Lord Chaitanya. And then he arranged the meeting. And generally, Lord Chaitanya would not meet any of the impersonalists. He would not like to meet any of the impersonalists. But here, he saw that this impersonalist is affecting a lot of people. He had a lot of disciples. So for their deliverance, and also he sees that the devotees are very upset. The devotees are very sad. So to make his devotees happy, he accepted the invitation and he went to the house of this Brahmana, where Prakashananda Saraswati has come with all his disciples, and where Lord Chaitanya also came. And then as soon as he goes to the house of the Brahmana, Prakashananda Saraswati sits on an elevated seat, and Lord Chaitanya sits on the floor on a low seat. And then all the disciples of Prakashananda Saraswati could see the effulgence coming from Lord Chaitanya. They could see that he is not an ordinary person. They could see that he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They could appreciate. But Prakashananda Saraswati was so proud, he would not. He couldn't appreciate the effulgence or the real form of Lord Chaitanya. So he asked this question from Lord Chaitanya, that you are a Vedantist, you are a scholar, and why do you dance and chant in the streets like a fool? We have heard that when you were a child, you would defeat great scholars like Keshav Kashmiri. Once Keshav Kashmiri visited in Navdeep, and Lord Chaitanya defeated him. So he said, why you have left all these discussions, Vedant scholarly discussions, and why are you chanting these holy names in the street? And then Lord Chaitanya says, this is an Adi Lila. So Lord Chaitanya gives a very important instructions on the holy name. He tells that Prabhu kahe shuna Sripad ihara karana, Guru more murkha dekhi karila shashana. So Lord Chaitanya said, my dear sir, kindly hear the reason. My spiritual master considered me a fool, and therefore he chastised me. Shashana, Prabhupada translates here, chastised me. मूर्खा तुम्ही तुम्हार नहीं का वेदांत अधिकारा कृष्ण मंत्र जपा सदा ए mantra sara. So he says that you are a fool, my spiritual master has said. You are a fool. You are not qualified to study Vedanta philosophy, and therefore you must always chant the holy name of Krishna. That is the essence of all the mantras or Vedic hymns. Krishna mantra haita have samsara mochana. Krishna nama haite pave Krishnera charana. Simply by chanting the holy name of the Lord, one can obtain freedom from material existence. Indeed, simply by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, one will be able to see the lotus feet of the Lord. Nama binu kali kale nahi ara dharma sarva mantra sara nama e shastra marma. So in this age of Kali, there is no religious principle other than the chanting of the holy name, which is the essence of all Vedic hymns. That is the purpose of all the scriptures. Eta bali eka shloka shikha ila more kante kori e shloka koriya vichare. So Lord Chaitanya says that my spiritual master sees me a fool, and then he says that you chant this holy names. Other than the holy names, there's no other way. And then he says that you remember one shloka in your throat, in your kantha. What is that shloka? Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nameva Kevalam, Kalau Nasteva, 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 Katiranyatha. For spiritual progress in this age of Kali, there is no alternative, there is no alternative, there is no alternative to the holy name, the holy name, the holy name of the Lord. So he said there's no other way for the deliverance other than chanting the holy names of the Lord. Ei Agyapana Nama Lai Anukshana Nama Laite Laite Mora Branta Hoile Mana. So Lord Chaitanya is saying that after receiving this instruction from my spiritual master, I've been chanting these holy names and I'm becoming bewildered after chanting these holy names. And then he says, Dhaira dharite nari hai lama unmat hasi khandi nachi gai yaiche madamat. So he says that while chanting the holy names of the Lord in pure ecstasy, I lose myself, and thus I cry, dance, and sing just like a madman. And then he says his spiritual masters, and then Lord Chaitanya goes to his spiritual masters, and then he tells his spiritual master that, Kiba mantra dila, Gosani kiba tarabala, japite mantra, karila pagala. My dear Lord, what kind of mantra have you given me? I have become mad simply by chanting this Maha Mantra. Hasaya nachaya more karaya krandana, eta suni guru hasi balila vachana. So he says that chanting the holy name in ecstasy causes me to dance, laugh, and cry. When my spiritual master heard all this, he smiled and then he began to speak. So Lord Chaitanya is saying, after chanting, sometimes I dance, sometimes I laugh, sometimes I cry. What has happened to me? I become like a mad person. So then his spiritual master says, Krishna nama maha mantrera eita swabhava yei jape tara Krishna upajiye bhava. It is the nature of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra that anyone who chants it immediately develops his loving ecstasy for Krishna. So that's what the instructions for us actually, that how this holy names, they are capable of developing that dormant relationship, our relationship with Krishna, the loving tendency for Krishna. just by chanting the holy names, we can develop that. And one point I want to mention before I end the call is that in the purport. Sorry, let me pull out. Yeah, in the purport that it's it says that this we can purify ourselves by chanting the Vedic mantras, but the tendency is not gone. Like the tendency is still there to commit to be basically being followed in the material trap. But if we chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, we are protected even from that tendency to fall down in the material trap, the material existence, the evils of material existence. So it's like an antiseptic that protects us from getting contaminated from the material contamination. So Prabhupada, like he gives the example of a hathi snan, like an elephant, he takes shower, and then after taking nice shower in the lake, he goes and he rolls in the mud. So the chanting the Vedic mantras is like that. We chant we commit an offense, and then we chant the mantra, try to purify ourselves, and then again we commit some offense. But if we chant the holy names, if we chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, the tendency to be involved, the tendency to be to be fallen, to get fallen in the material existence, we remove that tendency permanently. So that is the power of the holy names. So I'll stop here. It's almost 8 o'clock. Please correct me if there's any corrections, chastisement, some comments.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Dandavat Pranam, Prabhu.
I had this question in my mind this morning. Even a few days it's happening. The tendency to the material affection is growing more and more and more, say suppose. So where am I lacking was my question. My tendencies are, you know what, I'm not chanting properly. That's why my tendency, because as you said, even the tendencies also will go away. But if the tendencies are coming back, that means my chanting is not proper. That's what I was realizing. But this is like an everyday dose. If one day, of course, we are not there yet. The explanation of what you read from CC was so good. We can understand from the holy name everything, the name, form, qualities, everything is, we can understand, but we are not in that stage. Currently, what I'm in that stage, where am I? My situation is, the holy name is non-different from Krishna. Please, and we are chanting and praying that, please engage me in devotion service. I'm still in that stage. So, but later point of time, the service, we are thinking that, this chanting the holy name is also a service to Krishna. That means I'm pleasing the ears of Krishna. I am not there yet. I'm still in the prayerful mood, that, as I mentioned. So reading from CC, it's beautiful, but attaining that stage is a long way to go. I was feeling that. But it definitely helping me. If I look at some years ago and now, yes, my tendencies have come down, but still there. And I'm also thinking, when a person comes to the ISKCON to do some volunteer, so suppose somebody signs up for a volunteer service, they'll come, and then 1 day, 2 days they'll come, and after that they disappear. But the person who's chanting, somehow, even one round, no matter what, they'll stick on and they'll continue their services. So that itself is an example that chanting has a power to make them stay and serve Krishna. These are some reflections, Mataji. Thank you so much for your class.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you. I heard a class from my Guru Maharaj, His Holiness Gopal Krishna Maharaj. So a devotee asked Maharaj that we have the best movement, we have the best philosophy, best acharya, best everything best what one can think about. Even then, our tendencies of the heart, like the bad tendencies of the heart, is still there. So what is the reason, Maharaj? Maharaj said, the reason that you mentioned is the inattentive chanting, is that offenses against the Vaishnavas. So if especially the chanting, if we fix our chanting, if we dedicate our chanting completely and focused, then these problems in our heart will gradually, we'll see, they will start to disappear, diminish on its own. That's what Maharaj said. I just wanted to add, Prabhu. Thank you. Anybody else would like to add anything?
Hare Krishna Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. I was just thinking in the same lines that you quoted Maharaj. Haridas Thakur chanted pure holy names. But even the prostitute who was there for just 3 days, what was her contribution? Right? Like she was just sitting there and listening. So it also seems like, obviously there is, I don't know if the script, when in your reading, did the scripture say anything about it? Like, can we conclude, is it a reasonable conclusion that she also must have heard very attentively, right? Like, such that it has now purified her own heart in just a matter of 3 days. So, anyway, it was in line with what you quoted from His Holiness Gopal Krishna Maharaj. So I thought I'll share that.
Yes. Yeah. No, Mataji, I was when I was reading this pastime, I was reading that the prostitute who came, first she offered obeisances to Tulsi, and then she offered obeisances to Haridas Thakur. So that time, even the prostitute, they were so cultured that they would offer obeisances. They knew that this is a Vaishnava, this is Tulsi. So definitely, what you're saying, she was listening the holy names very properly, and also the effect of chanting of a pure devotee makes much more difference. Like if we chant to a person like her, it may or may not make much of a difference, but since it's coming from the mouth of a pure devotee, it had made a much more greater impact. Anything else? Anybody else would like to share anything? It's already 8:04. Lakshmikant Prabhu, should we end or?
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Prabhu.
That Haridas Thakur pastime. So I was also thinking in the lines of Balram Prasad Prabhu, right? So there are, we are chanting for many, for a short time, right? It's maybe not very long time, but still, so we are having those tendencies. Some of them are getting minimized, but some of them are coming out, right? I was hearing that because we are trying to scratch the surface and we are trying to see all those problems within us, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, they might be existing, but we might not be realizing that those are problems or attachments. But of course, when we chant that attentively, and maybe, of course, even we see, when I chant, I'm a little more attentively compared to the other days, and I see a little bit more. At least I'm so clear at what I'm trying to do, but otherwise, it's like a lot of things are still there. But of course, these are all like not study bhakti, right? It's unstudy bhakti. So, at least in my stay. So,
Yes, Prabhu. So, shall we end, Prabhu?
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
I really want to thank for picking up this glorifying Haridas Thakur and Holyname. It was so good. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Prabhu. Okay. So thank you all for joining. Yes, sorry, somebody was speaking.
Gopal was saying.
No, I was just saying that Haridas Thakur was someone who Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he danced with his body when he passed away, and he said, "You're the dearest of all my devotees." And he at the end he says, "You're the closest or dearest of my devotees." So also his chanting was very, very potent, like very potent. And Prabhupada's chanting was also like that. And we see both in Srila Prabhupada's life and Haridas Thakur's life that people who came and just listened to them 1 or 2 days became pure devotees after that. And of course, they then had to do their part and practice, but they became pure devotees as a result of hearing that pure chanting. So just thinking, reflecting on Mother Vasana's comment that, the prostitute, how did she become? So she did her part, like you mentioned, and also it was her hearing, and which you also mentioned, but just kind of emphasizing that is also her hearing of the pure chanting of Haridas Thakur for 3 days and 3 nights continuously, because she had a task on hand, and for that purpose she had to be there. She couldn't leave, where normally people would leave for 3 days and 3 nights continuously, and she therefore became purified by hearing that pure chanting. And each successive day, it actually describes how each successive day she becomes more and more purified. Like the first day, she's just, feeling a bit, distracted, agitated, like, why isn't he like finishing his rounds? And then the second day, she's more deeper into it. And the third day, she comes and she surrenders. So each successive day, actually, she was like, she was advancing by hearing the pure chanting of a pure devotee. And that's the power of Prabhupada said, many times, so many places it says that the power of hearing from a pure devotee, or, from advanced devotees, like the more advanced they are, the more their chanting purifies their heart. And I was thinking, like, one comparison of that is like when Dhruva Maharaj meets Narad Muni, then Narad Muni tells him, if you chant this, or tells him, or he just experiences, if you chant this mantra for 7 days and 7 nights, then you'll start to see the divine beings in the sky. So in the same way, and that's not even the Maha Mantra. That was Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. In the same way, if one chants the Maha Mantra, or hears it purely, then it should not, in the same way one can probably reach that stage. So I was just thinking on that, and in fact, to your point on offenses and those things, there's that verse in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Bhojan me kori are shavana kirtana tabhutane pahe Krishna kori premadhana, where one can chant for millions of lifetimes and still not attain Krishna prema unless we are trying to avoid offenses, or we are hearing offenseless chanting. So that the quality of chanting, I think, makes a difference, and that's what the prostitute was maybe hearing.
Yeah, thank you for adding such wonderful comment. Any final thoughts, anybody? Or we can end the call then. Okay. Thank you all. Hare Krishna. We'll see you all tomorrow.